Hey musicians and entrepreneurs, I wanted to do a video today talking about how much practice we need to put into things. Now this could relate to your musical instrument if you're part of the guitar ninja side of things, or if you're an entrepreneur this can literally just be about the amount of hours you need to put into certain things of your business to do well, to actually learn properly how to do these tasks. Now the guitar has taught me plenty about business and vice versa. And it's quite interesting. When you start looking for the amount of hours that people feel they need to invest in something to be the best, you've probably come across the 10,000 hour rule. Now to put this into perspective, if you were working 2.5 hours a day, that would take you 10 years to become world number one. Now that is what the 10,000 hour rule is, to become number one. Now the important thing here is to think about what level you actually want to reach. Now, 10,000 hours, if you're working 2.5 hours a day, is 10 years. If you're focusing on 8 hours a day, it's 4.8, so basically 5 years. And if you manage to do 12-hour days, then you'll manage to do it in about 3 years. Now those 12 hours was going up to 6 days a week, and the 8 hours was working on a 5-hour. So it's like, if it's your full-time job, 5 days, 8 hours, then that's 5 years to become top of the game. But that's only if you want to be top of the game. Now what we've got to think about is 10,000 hours is what it takes to be world number one. Right? That's the amount of hours put in for somebody to become number one at a 10,000 meter run, or a swim, or whatever. The music industry is not so competitive, and the business world, you don't need to be number one to be a millionaire or to have a successful business, however you perceive success. So what do we actually need? Well, 10,000 hours is what makes you world class. You can kind of half that and be respected in your field after about 5,000 hours of work. So we're still talking years of effort put in here. No matter how much time you dedicate to it, it's still going to be years. But 5,000 hours would suddenly make you a respectable level where you're seen as one of the best and are good enough to still become a household name. Now, things that are really competitive where you remember who gets gold and not silver, maybe that's not enough. Maybe you need to be number one. But for the music industry, there's the top 40s charts. You know, with the 5,000 hours, there's a chance you can get into that level. So that's the kind of thing that I'm focusing on here. So that's your 5,000 is being respected as being one of the best, but not seen as the best. Now if we half that again and get down to around 2,500 to 3,000 hours, then we've got enough to still be professional. Enough to earn some money from whatever you're doing. To be good enough at the skill, to be good enough at whatever, to be able to make a living that's comfortable out of whatever you've put your mind to. Be that writing or learning an instrument, that's the one that I can obviously put most focus on, but developing a skill for 2.5 to 3,000 hours, that will give you around the right amount to be able to make a living from it. Double that, then you become renowned as such, double it again, you can become world number one. And that's kind of the focus that I've figured on. Now for some people they don't even care about that. They just want to learn something to have fun. How long does it take to learn something to have fun? Well, to be competent at one skill. So when I'm talking about playing guitar, this isn't the skill of playing guitar, this is the skill of playing one particular song. Yeah, or running down one particular scale. If it's the world of business, this isn't being okay at business, this is okay at just the marketing or just your bookkeeping or whatever. Like each task itself, to be competent, only takes about 20 hours. So if you want to learn a new skill whilst you've got a full-time job, as long as you can put aside 1 hour a day, that's still pretty hard. It has to be focused training, focused practice. So if there's distractions from kids coming in, or there's distractions from the Xbox or the TV being on, it doesn't count. That's not an hour of dedicated practice. We need a dedicated hour of focused practice. But if you manage to find 1 hour a day, that means you can develop a competent skill at one particular thing every month. So if you decided now to start picking up the guitar or the ukulele or something like that, and you actually find 1 hour a day, in 1 year's time, you should have an entire album of 12 songs that you can comfortably play from start to finish and feel fairly confident with. That even includes people that perhaps have done some singing. They could potentially just put in those 20 hours and get your guitar and your singing together. Now, it all starts about where your baseline is. Once I've learned all my chords on guitar, and then I put 20 hours into learning a new song, well then I can learn a fairly technical song because all the chord basing was already there. That's not in those 20 hours. That's already worked on skills. So it depends on what your focus is, and this is what I've started to work out with business, is most businesses, they say, fail within the first 3 years. Well, in the first 3 years, if you're spending 6 hours a day for 6 days a week on learning the business and developing your business skills, you've still only just reached the point of competent. So if you give up before the 3 years, then you've given up during the training period. You've not even reached that point to break out yet. Same with the guitar. If you want to be in a big famous band and your band is going for 2 to 3 years and then you quit, then you've not actually finished the training session of your learning to be in a band, because the amount of things involved in that, it's not learning one song, it's timing with other members, it's learning how to book gigs, how to have stage presence, how to record things, how to market your band. Everything to do with business or bands, music, will take this sort of stretch. So the reason why I'm doing this is to make you kind of think about how much time you're going to dedicate to something. Do you want to be competent at one particular thing just to enjoy it? Then that's fine. Try and find 20 hours to become competent enough at that one thing to enjoy it. That's perfectly fine. Not everybody needs to be driven to the stage they want to be the top #1 of whatever. Yeah, so 20 hours is what you want to find of dedicated practice time. So when somebody comes to me and goes, how long would it take me to be good at guitar? It's like, well, how long are you going to dedicate to practice? You know, there's no clear answer for that. And this is what I've just started to learn with business now, is I'm about to start dedicating my 20 hours into my marketing, because that's a skill that I've barely worked on yet. I'm basically at ground zero. So I need to put those 20 hours in just to become competent enough that I can at least make the money back that I invest in marketing. Then once I've broken that 20 hours, then I'm working towards the competently making a decent profit. So that could still be a few years of training before I reach that high enough level where I can call myself a marketer. Now, I don't care about being a marketer in general, I just want to be able to market my own business and brand and help my students that want to be in bands market their brand, their band, their business. Sorry about the random crop there, I just randomly got attacked by the throat. I think the coffee was a bit too hot. Anyway, the idea of this was just to get you thinking about how many hours you dedicate to something and how long it's actually going to take you to be comfortable. Too many people give up before they finish training. When you're training and you're learning something, the best way to learn is to fail and learn from your failures over and over again. And now, when it comes to learning guitar, what happens when you fail? You play a stupid note. You play a bum note, it sounds a bit of a mess. What happens when you're working on a game? Well, then you die in the game, but you respawn or you start again. However, with business, when you fail, you lose money. And if you fail bad, then perhaps you even lose some reputation. So I get that it's scarier in certain places to be willing to go through that training stage, but you've got to do it. I'm still in the training stage of business now. I've not been running this long enough to break out, but I have seeked every opportunity I can, and I've tried to learn from every failure. I've tried making sure that I analyse what I'm doing as a person and as a business as two separate fields, to really make sure that I'm getting my hours of practice in to make myself one of the best. Now, I hope this kind of gives you some inspiration to have a look at the amount of hours you're dedicating towards things. Another thing to mention for anybody that's involved in business here is you've got the hours working on and in. Now, I spend a lot of hours still teaching my current students. I spend a lot of hours creating lesson videos where I'm not learning more about business. I'm just creating and continuing to teach and do the task that I have to do. So all of that time isn't training time. That doesn't account towards the 10,000 if I wanted to be the best. That only accounts to getting some money in. So let's say I'm working 12 hours a day for 6 days a week. Well, if 4 of those days I'm teaching people, then actually I've only got 3 days worth of training a week where I'm working on the business. And even those, I'm probably having a lunch break, and I'm probably reacting to some emails and phone calls where I'm not learning. So to actually get those 10,000 hours in business, it's going to take a long time. If you want to be the top, it's the reason why you don't see many million and billionaires that continue their success until they've reached their 50s, because the amount of hours they need to do to learn all those stages. And it's the reason why you see a lot of bands up and coming that are young, and then either they've not learned the skills to maintain it, so then they disappear, or they don't really reach their full level of fame until they're slightly older. or they've got other people around them that know those skills. That is the other thing you can do, and the one thing I'm learning about business now is somebody else is probably going to edit this video for me because they've got the skills, they've got the time, and it makes more sense for me to focus on what I'm learning and working on whilst they edit the videos. I hope you gained some value from this, and I hope it wasn't a random blur of information at you, but I felt it was really important to get off my chest and to help my students see the amount of training that they need to put in if they want to get somewhere. I've got students that want to be in bands and grow somewhere, and I think they need to understand that if they're training for a few hours every day, it's still probably going to be a few years before they'll be able to get their band out there to a level that they can call successful. Well, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in another one soon. Bye!